All right, good morning, YouTube. We're out here on my porch in the sun. It's significantly nicer. I gotta be careful with the sun. It's significantly nicer than the last two videos I posted where the thunderstorm was rolling in. It rained probably until around 9-ish last night, 2100, and it was nice. It was good rain. It was good enough rain that I didn't have to fertilize the garden. Didn't have to water the garden this morning. And we get another hot day today. It's going to be up in the 90s. But as I'm sitting out here, I'm realizing that I can make this video about two different things. First off, obviously, you can see I've got the bandana on my neck. I've got my big broad hat on that I wear, and I'm wearing long sleeves. When you are on doxycycline, you have to be incredibly careful of the sun. My Nantucket mug. I got that when we got married out on Nantucket. You have to be incredibly mindful of the sun because I guess doxycycline makes it a lot easier to get a sunburn, which I mean, you guys know the way I dress. The plain commitment that I've made where I wear the long pants and the button-down shirts all the time. Probably 80% of the time they're long sleeve anyway, and this particular shirt is as you can see long sleeve. And this is my garden. This is the shirt I always wear in the garden. I've got the bandana on to keep the sun off my neck as much as possible, and I got my hat that I can wear. It's getting old. I'll say that it's getting old having this and dealing with this. Yesterday afternoon, I just ended up sleeping for like 2 hours. It was maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I got up at like 4:30. I was exhausted. I had to lay down. My wife works the night shift at in an ICU in a hospital in Southern Rhode Island, and she had come home yesterday morning and went to bed. And her plan was she wanted to get up by 1:30 and do her grad school stuff. She's going to school to be an NP after 25 years as an ICU RN. She's going to be the one giving the orders instead of taking them. So this is what she wanted to do. This is what she's always dreamed of, and she finally has the opportunity to do it, and she's doing a great job with it. I know that I wouldn't have the patience to go back to school like that, but she was getting up at 1:30, and I had to lay down and take a nap because I was exhausted. But the reason I was exhausted, I'm gonna walk around a little bit here. Oh, the Lyme disease seems to make everything that already hurt more. The reason I was exhausted was my son and I got up early before all the heat yesterday, and in here, this was last year. This was our flower garden here, and it did okay with flowers. It did all right, but I needed a spot. I had these potatoes that I was saving for that I was going to put somewhere in the garden, but I realized I wasn't going to be harvesting what was there soon enough. So they had eyed out, but I needed a place to put them. So right there is where I think I got half a dozen in there, maybe 9. I think there's 9 in there. 9 little, and they're baby potatoes. They're like the tiny red ones, and that's what I want them to be, babies. So they're not gonna. I'm not expecting huge potatoes. I don't want huge potatoes from there. And the same thing with this little mound here. I think there's half a dozen, maybe 6 or 7 of the little potatoes in there, and I'm hoping to get just a decent little harvest in like October. So How are you? Thank you. Guy running by. They like my garden. But yeah, so I got some potatoes in there yesterday, and we're going to have to do some harvesting of some summer squash, some zucchini. We got a ton of greens in there that we got to harvest. And the corn, I love the look of this. I want you guys to see this. I want you to see this. I was watching after the storm had passed last night. This is the view that I was looking at, and all behind the church was dark, dark clouds. And all behind me back there, you can see the sky back there. You guys have seen that where the storm rolled in. That was all beautiful pink and gold, and it was an amazing sunset after the thunderstorms rolled through. It was beautiful. It was it was gorgeous. And I have to say it, even though I have the Lyme disease obviously now, and I've been dealing with the back problems, the slip disc, that kind of stuff. The two I always call them slip discs. They're herniated discs. But I do have to say, what I'm doing with the garden, where I live, the church community and faith community, the brotherhood of faith that I'm part of, is an incredible blessing in my life. I have had multiple health problems over the course of my life. When you work on an ambulance and you sit in an ambulance for hours on end, posting, like in a parking lot somewhere waiting for calls, like it was not uncommon to do that for 17, 18 hours. Sitting like that, your body mechanics get all screwed up, and it screwed up my digestive system. I needed surgery to have 8.5 inches of my colon removed because I had diverticulitis. My father, actually, who passed away, ended up right before he had his heart attacks, they diagnosed him with colon cancer, and they took 9 inches of his colon and actually got all the cancer. It was the heart attacks that killed him. But they took 9 inches of his colon. So for the 2 weeks that he was alive after that, he was busting me. They took 1/2 inch more of mine. I'm more of a badass, that kind of thing. But yeah, so I've had quite a few health problems over the course of my life. I've needed emergency surgery for my colon. I've had kidney stones removed. There have been health problems, but I can look at the garden that I have. I can look at my family, my wife, my son, the animals that we have, our pets, the dogs, the cats, the rabbits, the cats that are coming, the chickens that are coming, the goats we'll eventually have, even though my wife says we won't, but we will. The bees that my wife doesn't want, but we'll still have. I can look at all of what I have as far as the garden, the house, the berry patch, making sure I'm not getting sunburn here, the grapevines in the back. I can look at all of this. I can look at my life, even with the health issues, and I can say that I feel incredibly blessed, and I am incredibly grateful for that. And I do have times where I get depressed and I get upset, and I need to remind myself of that. But last night, that view, looking through the corn, looking through my crops, seeing the church that I am a very active member of, that I help take care of, that I work as the night watchman for. I mean, it's not paid. I sit here on my porch with my flashlight and kick kids out when they're trying to make out or get stoned. I have become the person that I hated as a teenager. But I can look at what I have and the way my life is, and I can say that I feel incredibly blessed, and I know that I am incredibly blessed because I don't deserve any of this. I mean, I nobody does, but by the grace of God, I'm allowed to do this, so I'm incredibly happy about that. But I know in the intro video I said I wouldn't get all preachy and weird with you, so I apologize for that. I'm just this is more vloggy than anything else. This is me just kind of talking about my feelings and my experience here. But I will say this. I'm going to give you an update on those tomatoes that I did a video about the other day. They what I had done was I had taken the cuttings from the tomato plants that I have, and I put them in water for a week in my bathroom, and they were doing well. They had developed the little nodes on the side, like they look like little brown bubbles. So they were ready to put into dirt. And I put them into the dirt cups, the potting cups, the soil cups. And you can see they're not in there anymore. They're not in there anymore. I've been watering them as I got a thing. So my pastor, the one who's the head pastor now, he was the assistant pastor before, and he actually helped me move in when I moved in here. He offered to help me move my furniture in, and I said, sure, why not? And I ended up becoming friendly with him. We meet once a week, and we have lunch, and we both read the same book, and we discuss it. It's kind of like a book club, but just the two of us. And I mean, even when we're not reading a book, we get together for lunch. We had breakfast the other day. I consider him a close friend. And when I had my back, when my back was bothering me, he knows I love to garden. He knows I'm very into growing vegetables and that kind of stuff. He was helping clean out. I was actually supposed to help too, but I couldn't because of my back. He was helping one of the church members clean out just a back room or an attic or something, because they were, oh, wait a minute, because they were older. My wife's out walking the little dog, and he found all these magazines about how to grow vegetables and how to do different gardening things, and he knew I did that, so he said, hey, you want them? Because we're just going to throw them out. So he gave me this great one from like the 70s or the 60s on growing tomatoes. And they had this whole section on propagating tomatoes, making more tomato plants from the tomato plants you have, from cuttings. And it said it was not necessary to use a rooting compound, which is a powder that you put on the cut plant, and it'll convince it to grow roots. So I didn't, and it did not go well. The cuttings, I put them in the soil. I kept the soil as moist as they recommended, and it just didn't happen. They died within 6-7 hours of going in the soil. But you live, you learn, and you move on. So I've ordered the rooting compound. It's like $8 off of Amazon, and it's gonna be here by the 13th. So when it gets here, I'll take more cuttings, because if you grow tomatoes, if you have tomato plants, you understand this. There are always cuttings, because they just grow like weeds, and I mean, they're vines, so they try to go everywhere. And so there will be more, and I'm going to do it a little bit differently, because I did a little bit more research. I'm going to do the rooting compound directly in the soil, and if that doesn't work, I'm just not going to try to propagate these tomatoes anymore. But what I have now, what I have going now, because I cleaned all those out, I took all the little tomato cuttings and threw them in the compost because they were dead anyway. And that goes back to, oh, no, you can't compost. You can compost everything. Trust me on that. If it comes from your garden, if it's green, if it was once alive, it can be composted. I watched a very interesting video on composting large livestock mortalities, cows, horses, pigs, animals, livestock animals you have that die of unexpected causes, and you can compost them. You can compost everything. If you know how occasionally on your lawn you'll find a dead bird, or there'll be like roadkill or something, if I see that, it goes in the compost. That's just, it is what it is. I mean, I'm dumping a gallon of urine in my compost every week. So clearly, I am not someone who's very scrupulous about what goes in my compost. But so that's where those are. That's where the tomato cuttings went. All of these, and I saved these over here, these, whatever it is, 6 of them, don't have anything in them anymore. I'm saving them because I think I'm going to start, I'm going to see how my herbs do. My cilantro right now is becoming coriander, which I want to happen. We got plenty of cilantro. We want the coriander now. But I think what I'm going to do is that once those herb plants in there, the first season herb plants, start dying back and kind of being less vigorous, I'm going to start herbs in here because they sprout up quick. They'll be quick. And those are going to be my fall harvest herbs. So basil, more cilantro, a couple of different types of parsley, oregano, herbs. The mint that I have in there is kicking butt, and I think it's the best mint I've ever had, actually. So I'm not worried about mint. Maybe spearmint. Spearmint would be fun to have, mint and spearmint. That'd be a lot of fun. Got to be really careful that they don't escape, though, because they kind of take off and do whatever the hell they want. But these here, I got 6 of them. I got half a dozen of them. And I have snap peas in there. I just put snap peas in them this morning. I actually still have to... Everything is nice and wet. It's nice and damp from the rain that we got. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do have to give them the new snap peas and their elder siblings here. The squash in the middle, those are squash. All 4 of those are squash. Those are cucumbers. So I got 4 squash and 6 cucumbers. And actually, the 2 cucumber plants that survived out of the 6 that I bought from the local hardware store, Ace in Greenville, I'm not trying to be a jerk and say, oh, don't go there. They're great as far as everything else, and even as far as that's where I got the tomatoes. I got the tomato plants from them. They're a good store. Their cucumbers this year, out of 6 of them, 2 survived. 6 of the plants transplanted into the ground, 2 of them survived. I was so upset by that. But it is what it is. That's part of gardening. They're actually starting to flower and do something. So there wasn't a total loss. But we like cucumbers. I like pickles. So hopefully I'll get a fall harvest out of these little green babies here. All the squash is doing fantastic, and the only reason I'm planting 4 more squash plants is because they do fantastic. So this is just a little update on all of the plans that I have for the garden and how everything's doing. I got some zucchini I gotta harvest. I've got some summer squash I gotta harvest. All those potatoes are coming out on the 14th. The potatoes that I put in back in April are coming out on the 14th because they're finally, the blossoms are dropping off, the vines are starting to die back. By then they'll all be ready to come out, and these guys are going to go in there. These snap peas are probably going to go. I have a succession planting of carrots. I've planted them every 2 weeks up until about 2 weeks ago, from the time of getting the garden in. So I'll be able to start harvesting those, and when those are harvested, the snap peas are going to go where they were, and either that or the snap peas are going to go where the greens, because I have cut and come again lettuce and turnip greens. Although some of the turnip greens are getting kind of to the end of their harvesting, their production. They're at the end of their life cycle, which is understandable. I mean, I've gotten 3 or 4 harvests out of them anyway, so I'm not too upset. I'll probably get 1 or 2 more, 2 or 3 more maybe, and then the peas will be at their size where they can go in the ground there. So at this point, well, at any point in gardening, you're always thinking ahead to what's going to fill this space when I take that plant out. So that's where we are right now. That's how things are going. As far as the Lyme disease and the doxycycline, I told you guys a little bit about that, how I'm feeling and how it's affecting me. I actually think I'm getting a little bit of a sunburn on my hand. It's progressing. The rash that I had from the bite mark, is it changes colors. It's weird. It goes from black and blue to pink to blue to gray. It's going away though. So this coming Friday, so 2 days from now, tomorrow will be Thursday and then Friday, I will have been on the doxycycline for a week. It's a 2-week course, and then I go and I get looked at by the doctor again, and they do the blood titers and the little whatevers, the tests, and they decide if I need to go on it for another 2 weeks and that kind of stuff. But like I said, I can't drink any beer during it, and it would have been so nice to have a beer during that thunderstorm last night. So nice. It is what it is. No big deal. I've got my coffee here. So I hope you guys don't mind these vlog style videos where I'm just kind of, it's a bunch of different topics and I just kind of ramble for a little bit. It helps me. It's kind of therapeutic. So I hope you don't mind, but if there is any interest, I have been considering doing a video on my journey from being a different person than I am now, being my journey from being a paramedic and being I guess agnostic to being a Christian, and not just but a plain dressing Christian, and why I feel that's necessary and appropriate. I might end up doing a video on that. That might be coming out fairly soon. And I know there's only like 31 people or 32 people, something like that, subscribe to this, but it's therapeutic for me, and I enjoy putting this stuff out there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe years from now, people will look at this and go, "Ooh, look at everything that he put out there." Probably not. But anyway, I've rambled long enough, so I'm gonna end this video, I think, and get out of the sun. Even though I'd like to sit out here, but it is getting warm. Ooh,
I gotta go put that fan in front of the rabbit barn.
so that they can be nice and cool today in the heat. But I will end this video by saying I hope wherever you are comfortable and that God is with you. Thank you.